What's good, YouTube? Today in this video, I'm going to be going over a emergency biodefense meeting that recently happened in Indiana. And I wanted to quickly give a shout out to JWTV on YouTube because he brought this to my attention. And I had no idea that this was taking place until he made a video about it. So, yeah, highly recommend that you guys check out his channel if you're not familiar with him yet, JWTV. He's been doing this stuff way longer than I have. He's been getting the truth out there for way longer than me. He's been trying to wake people up for a good amount of time. And he's been bringing to light a lot of information that isn't really being promoted on the media that much or isn't really going viral, right? So, yeah. On the subject of preparation for the next big event, which I've been talking about a lot because it's very important, and they've been doing so many different things and related to preparing for it. And they've been having so many different roundtable discussions over the past few years. And they're continuing to have those as we speak on what they're going to do when the next big event takes place, which is going to be far more devastating than what we saw in 2020, like we've discussed several times. But while these people continue to do all of these things, preparing for the next big event, actively having roundtable meetings on what they're going to do as a response to the next big event, the types of measures, the types of control measures that they're going to implement in society when the next big event takes place, which are going to be far more tyrannical than what we've already seen. And all of these different things, while these people are actively getting themselves ready, most people are clueless to what's in store in the near future. And most people are distracted by mindless entertainment and meaningless trends that absolutely serve them no valuable meaning or purpose in life whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm going to get into this video right now, and I'm not going to do any pausing or anything. I'm going to just let the video play all the way through. And then I'm going to go over another article that talks about this and provides even more detail on the subject. So, yeah, I'm going to get right into it right now. I'm not going to do any pausing or anything like that. I'm going to let it all play through. And yeah, I'm going to get into it. All right, so that's it for the video. Notice how in the video they mention how they do all of this, or they pretty much put all of this money, right? Crazy amounts of money towards basically funding campaigns to get people to get the what, right? Like we've seen over the past few years. They talk about funding for that. They talk about the possibility of having so-called super spreader events at places like the International Motor Speedway, like this lady in the video mentioned earlier. Like that, right? These things sound very familiar. And that's because they're planning more and more and more of that in the future. When the next big event takes place, they're going to be doing even more of that stuff. They're going to be orchestrating these things. They're going to be putting even more money towards getting people to get the what. And it's not for the purpose of what they're telling you on the media, which they claim is for saving lives, right? When in reality, we know it's the complete opposite. So, things in mind, because once the next big event takes place, people are going to be shocked by how bad it's going to get. People are going to be shocked to see how it's going to be so much more devastating than what we saw in 2020. And it's not even funny what's in store for humanity, because these people are going to do whatever they can to have their agendas implemented on a worldwide scale. So, yeah, I'm going to get into the next thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and it's this article. It says Biodefense Commission heads to IMS for a public meeting on the perpetual race against biological threats. Also, notice in the video that I just showed you guys, they basically had like this panel of people talking about the subject, and probably even going over what they're going to do when the next big event takes place, right? Things of that nature. They've been doing this type of stuff for a long time, and they've been you had similar things like that happening with Event 201. They had the roundtable discussions talking about what they were going to do in a scenario of a worldwide event that, like we saw in 2020, right? All of these things were planned in advance before they happened and came to fruition in reality. They did catastrophic contagion, they did Clade X, right? And they're doing this, which is a very recent one as well. So it's really important that you keep in mind that these people are actively preparing themselves for what's to come and actively talking about how they're going to respond when the next big event takes place. The article goes on to say the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has hosted countless legendary events for well over 100 years, along with Lucas Oil Stadium, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and the Indiana Convention Center. Indianapolis hosts countless large-scale mass gathering events. It is part of what makes a city so dynamic and special. Sadly, in the world we live in now, it also makes us a potential target for those with ill intentions. You know who those you know who those people really are with ill intentions. You guys know what I'm talking about if you're awake. That is why a special meeting taking place at the Brickyard on September 27th, it's happened days ago, is quite significant to the safety and security of those across the Hoosier state, however you say that word, and also across the country. After leaving Congress in 2021, where I had served as chair of the Homeland Subcommittee on Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Communications, it says, I was invited to join the Bipartisan Commission on Biodefense for nearly 10 years. The commission, co-chaired by our nation's first U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Republican Tom Ridge, and former Democrat, I don't care about none of that, has worked to advise Congress and the White House on specific steps, because all of these people are puppets. Like these people that they're mentioning here, these people are puppets. Has worked to advise Congress and the White House on specific steps the federal government can be taking to prepare for and respond to a biological incident. What does that exactly mean? A biological incident can be anything from a you know what, I'm not going to say the word, as we all have lived through with the you know what in 2020, to an accidental release of a deadly, what they're saying right here, deadly biological agent from a research lab to a targeted attack with a biological weapon. Typically, the Bipartisan Commission on Biodefense holds its meetings in Washington, where we talk regularly with Congress and the current administration and experts from across federal agencies. But because this meeting will largely focus on special security management of biological threats to mass gatherings, we decided to take the meeting on the road to hear directly from those on the front lines of large-scale events, and there's no bigger or better location than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Goes on to say, we look forward to speaking with their top medical director, Dr. Julia Vaser, as well as John Ball, who heads up security and event services at Pacers Sports and Entertainment. They are among a distinguished panel of speakers, including special guest Governor Eric Holcomb. This public meeting will delve into state and local efforts to strengthen public health and biodefense. And now you guys know what they mean by strengthen so-called public health, right? Their definition, or at least what they mean, right, when they say things like this, when they say strengthen public health, right, they mean from a context of getting as many people as possible to get tested and to get those things in their arms, right? You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And it goes on to say, given that Indiana is one of the nation's top agricultural states, we also will examine the threats to animals, food, and agriculture, which can dramatically impact both farmers and consumers. Indiana is fortunate to have organizations such as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Pacers Sports and Entertainment that prioritize health and safety. What a joke. At their large-scale events, and who understand the need to plan for a range of potential threats, including from a biological incident. These people are acting like they care about your health and safety. Meanwhile, in 2020, when all of these ridiculous shutdowns happened, these people deemed fast food restaurants, which sell junk food that contribute to disease, they deemed those places as essential businesses, right? During a you know what. And meanwhile, at the same time, they destroyed millions of small businesses while using the excuse of calling them so-called non-essential, right? That in itself proves my point about how these people never cared about your health. It goes on to say the simple fact is that special security management is critical in order to defend against biological threats to mass gatherings. We so appreciate that the International Motor Speedway is hosting us so that we can have a better understanding of the threat landscape and what additional partnerships with government are needed. Partnerships with government are needed to assist them in their efforts to keep visitors and employees safe. All right. I mean, that's pretty much it for the article. I'm not going to read any more. Um, I think I've already said most of what I needed to really say, but folks, I'm going to say it again. The writing is on the wall. It's becoming more and more crystal clear that these people are getting themselves well prepared for the next big major event that's going to take place in the near future. And I don't know the exact day it's going to happen. I don't know exactly what narrative they're going to use to justify the next big event and the next wave of, control measures. But all I know for a fact is that it's coming. All I know for a fact is that the writing is on the wall. All I know for a fact is that these people are continuing to have roundtable discussions on how they're going to respond to the next big event and what they're going to do when it takes place. All I know is that most people are not prepared for what's coming, and most people are distracted by meaningless nonsense. So, yeah, all of these things I know for a fact, except for the exact timing of these specific events that they're planning, right? Because only they know, only the people planning these things know for certain when these things are going to happen, right? We know that these things are guaranteed to happen, except we just don't know the exact timing, right? And I feel like there's also too many people in the so-called truth community that pretend that they know the exact date of things, right? And they claim that certain events are going to happen on a specific day, right? And then when it doesn't happen, they just destroy their credibility. You see, I'm not innocent from that stuff myself. I used to do that stuff a few years back, but I had to stop because I realized that that was very foolish and that wasn't smart. So, you know, it's not a good look for you when you do that type of stuff. So, yeah, continue to prepare yourself for what's to come. You guys know the state of the economy right now is already terrible as it is. But when the next big event takes place, it's just going to further devastate the economy a lot worse than what we've already seen. And it's going to become more and more and more and more important to get yourself as ready as possible, physically, mentally, financially, and spiritually, right? So, yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you watch it this far, make sure to share the video far and wide. And remember that nothing's going back to normal. It may seem like things are going back to normal right now, or things are getting better right now because they're not as bad as what we saw in 2020. You know, they've held back on what they did in 2020 for now, right? Because they're trying to give people false hope, and they're trying to give people a slight little taste of, their livelihoods that they had in 2019 or before the 2020 event took place, which changed the entire world, right? They're just giving people a taste of that life, right? The old lifestyle that they had, where they didn't have to worry about, shutdowns and all of this stuff, right? But that's a part of their plan too. Don't fall for it because nothing's going back to normal. Things were never normal as it was anyways, but a lot of people have the mindset that things are going back to normal, but it's really not. And those people are going to be in for a rude awakening when the next big event takes place. So once again, I thank you guys for watching this video if you watched it this far, and I'm out.